Alright guys, in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to change the rear and central differential fluid on a Subaru Legacy Outback 99. Every so often your gear oil will have to be changed, and on this vehicle the front axle seals were leaking on the central differential. So after replacing those seals, I figured I'll replace all the differential fluids. So for the front central one, the dipstick is on this side of the vehicle, and that is also where you'll be filling it, and we'll have to go under the car to change the rear one, and of course to drain both differential fluids. For this vehicle it calls for 8W90 gear oil, and I will be using Castrol brand. So of course you want to start by jacking the vehicle up. In this case I drove it up on some ramps, and then I got some jacks to level it. It is important when you're doing this to get it as level as possible. I'm using some big old jack stands down there to get it up higher. Those are 5-ton equivalent, so it's really overkill. I'm just using them to get the vehicle up higher and level with the rear ramps. Starting with the rear of the vehicle, we can go and change the rear differential. So there's the rear differential. You have your two plugs, the drain plug and the fill plug on top. Now, when you do this, these can get quite stuck on there, so it's recommended to try removing the fill plug first. That way, if you end up removing the drain plug, what can happen is you won't be able to remove the fill plug and you won't be able to fill it. So always remove the fill plug first. To remove these, you just use a 1/2-inch drive of your wrench. And in this case, since it was stuck on here pretty well, I grabbed myself a breaker bar to get some extra leverage. These were on here pretty good. So let's go and drain this rear diff. And I've already broken these loose with the breaker bar because, again, these were stuck on here pretty well. Oh man, these are still on there pretty good. Might have to use the breaker bar again. Apologize for the poor lighting under here. This was a pain. There we go. I really had to use the breaker bar on that drain plug, fill plug, and the drain plug. They were in there good. There's the plug, the fill plug. This drain plug has a magnet on it, so you want to clean that off once you get it out. And there we go. It doesn't look terrible. There's the drain plug right there. It's got a magnet on it to collect the shavings, and this actually doesn't look bad. There's hardly anything on there. So with the mileage this car has, I'm going to suspect someone's done this job already. There, I found my shop light. That's pretty much done dripping. And then, of course, wipe down and clean off the drain plug. Get all the shavings off the magnet. And we'll just stick this right back in there. Like so. There we go. And we'll just get this nice and snug for now. I believe the torque spec for this is about 30 foot-pounds. Nice and snug there. Now with our drain, now our fill plug is open. We're ready to put in the gear oil. It's going to be fun. It'd be easier if I had a hose, but let's stick it in there and start squeezing. And I think this takes about 0.8 liters for the rear. With that, we can put the plug back on, wipe it down too. There we go. Get this nice and snug. And then if you want, you can torque these down to 30 foot-pounds, which I believe I will do, and then we'll spray it down with brake parts cleaner. Alright, so I'll go ahead and torque these down to 30 foot-pounds. There we go. I think they can go to about 33, 34 foot-pounds. I think 30 is what the manual says, so. Then I'll spray it down with brake part cleaner to make sure it's not leaking. There we go. Now I'll just wipe it down one final time. And that is the rear one done. Let's go on to the center front diff now. So moving up to the front of the car, we're gonna now change the center diff. I don't know if you can see that. It's right there's the drain plug right in front of the exhaust manifold. So we're gonna drain that next. I think that's a 23 millimeter. I'll double check on that. But that's what we're draining next. All right. So this should be a 22 millimeter that we're dealing with here. Man. Yeah, this is on there. Whew. I don't know who's putting these on. Man, everything on this car's been like this. Holy smokes. All right. Big breaker bar should do the trick. Maybe. Ooh. Think it broke loose? Yeah. There we go. Now if that broke loose, should just be finger tight. And since this diff was leaking, shouldn't be a whole lot in here. I mean, there's still going to be a lot, but it's not going to be full. I missed. I just made a mess on the floor. Great. Yum yum, differential fluid. Well, I'll just let that drain. I got a mess to clean up too. And that's pretty much good now. Of course, clean off the magnet. This one was in pretty good shape. There is a crush washer on here. You're supposed to replace it, but this one looks good. It's not deformed, so I'm gonna put it back on there. Just get that plug back in. Then we get our torque wrench, our 22 millimeter socket, and it says in the manual this is 30 foot-pounds. And there we go. And we're done with being underneath the vehicle for now. Now we go up above and fill it up. All right, so I'm gonna fill up the front differential. And for the front, it takes 1.5 quarts. So let's top it off. All right, so to fill the front differential, you have to remove the dipstick, which I've already done. Luckily, I have one of these black plastic extenders for the funnels. So it's basically a long plastic tube that goes on down to the hole where the dipstick goes. Otherwise, you'll need a really long skinny funnel. If you don't have these, you'll have to remove this big air box for the air intake. So that would be that bracket there on the throttle body. 2 bolts, one on this side, one on the other. There's some valve cover hoses under there. And then you should be able to have a little bit more room to get a funnel down in there. But let's add a quart, because the maximum capacity is about 1.5 quarts. So let's start off with a quart, and then I'll top it off with the other bottle that I had left over for the rear, and we'll see where we're at. With the Castrol, quart of Castrol, I'm just going to take the top off, carefully pour this stuff down the funnel here. And I'll do this off camera because I don't want to make a mess. So add a quart. So that's 1 quart. Now I'm going to top off with the residue I have left over from the rear. So I transferred the contents of this bottle to this bottle since this one was squished to see how much is, left accurately. Looks like we're just below 2.5 milliliters there. So, which means when we put this in the diff, we'll have about 1.25 quarts, which is pretty close to the 1.5. So I'll add this, and then we'll insert the dipstick and see where we're at. So go ahead and add the gear oil. All right, so got the dipstick measurement here, and it's actually right on the full line. Interesting. I'm gonna let it settle a little longer, and I'll check it later and see where it's at. Alright, so I'm gonna check the fluid now. See right now, I don't know if you can see that, it's showing full. Here, I thought I'd show you with a somewhat of a background so you can see this. But right there, you can see where the fluid mark is. So that's about perfect, actually. So I'd say that's full. Alright guys, so that does it. That's how you change your front differential and your rear differential fluid in a Subaru Legacy Outback 99. This is pretty much going to be the same on every one of your Subarus because they all have a rear main diff, and they all have a front. I think it's also known as a central diff, middle diff, but whatever, it's up front. So yeah, it's pretty much all the same. The amount of fluid though they take is probably going to be different. So refer to your owner's manual when you do this job yourself. If you liked this video or found it helpful, if you could, leave a like, consider subscribing, maybe leave a comment. It'll help my channel grow. So thank you again for watching. Thank you again for watching.